let's get into gripe mode. The things that we as agents just get so hyper focused on and get so caught up on and lose sleep over and just lose energy and just being frustrated sometimes just makes my head scratch. The things that agents, and it's the same stuff that agents complain about over and over on the agent Facebook pages and so forth. And so I'm just,
You're going to do it.
I'm going to do it. So don't sweat these things. All right. First one. Don't get upset. Don't gripe and complain because agents aren't picking up your phone calls. Agents get really upset. Oh, I called this agent and he didn't pick up his phone. Well, we can't always answer our phones. That's one thing if I don't return the call. Okay, but I can't always pick up the phone. Sometimes I'm with clients and I can't answer the phone. I'm not going to tell a client, hey, hang on, and I'm just not one of those, and I'm going to pick up the call because I don't want to be rude to my client. Sometimes we're on the other line. Sometimes we're with family. Sometimes we're just answering nature's calls. You do not want me to pick up the phone. And I'm just so,
Boy, was that a vivid picture.
Yeah, and so it's, I think for us as agents, we don't, regardless of how much we complain about other agents not picking up their phones, we're not always picking up our phones. There are things that happen, and it's okay. And don't go to Facebook and start griping about it. Now, again, it's one thing if you call me 3 times and leave 3 messages, and 3 days later I still haven't called you back. That's a legitimate gripe.
Well, it's kind of like if you're selling something on an internet surface, just call it Marketplace or Craigslist, and somebody like texts you 2 or 3 times in a row. Is this available? Is this available? Is this available? And then you text them like right back, and then you get ghosted. It's like all of a sudden,
yeah.
It's like, but that happens in real estate as well. Like you'll call on a listing, and then I call you back, and then guess what? Or my wife calls you back because I'm not doing that. But and then guess what? You never reply again. It's kind of like, well, wait a minute. I replied immediately to you, and then all of a sudden you're not now replying back. So this kind of goes in a myriad of different ways, from both the person that's not answering the first time and the person who doesn't answer when they get the return call. But to their point, they could be in one of these situations.
And I save every agent I've done a cross deal with. They're programmed in my phone. And maybe we had a bad experience. Maybe I just flat out don't want to pick up the phone.
There you go.
Maybe I don't want to talk to you.
Wonder how that works in your client's business.
Yeah, I was gonna
because Nick never answers his phone when I call him.
No, I
don't get upset.
You're blocked. So what is your expectation then for? And I think picking up your calls and returning calls are 2 different things. And I think that's one of the issues we run into in our industry is that we are people of immediate gratification. We need, when we try to accomplish something, it to be accomplished immediately. And if it takes more time, we get very discouraged and frustrated. And that's, I think, one of the issues we run into. But I'm going to call someone on a weekend, and most likely they're going to be busy. That's just what weekends are for, especially when you're a realtor. You're dealing with your clients at that point if you don't have children obligations. So I call you, I leave you a message, I call you, and I say shoot you a text, or I don't do either. I just call you, and it rings, and I hang up. What is your then timeline to get back to me?
Well, I would prefer not to leave a voicemail. I prefer if I don't pick up, just send me a text, and then I'll get back to you, and I'll call you back. But if I don't know you and you call and don't leave a message or text, with the amount, that's the other thing, with the amount of spam calls that we're getting on a daily basis, agents are a little more just hesitant to just pick up, answer calls all the time.
One of the things I just noticed even on my phone, I have the newest Apple.
Of course you do.
Well, and so anyway, old guy has to have new technology, you know what I mean? So anyway, here's the thing. So, on my phone, all of a sudden, sometimes incoming calls no longer give me that message option.
Correct.
It just says, accept it or not, or it says kill it, deny it. But it doesn't give me the option to text. I used to have I still have it. It's a standard text. And if you call me, and to be honest with you, if it doesn't pop up in my phone, it's not a priority for me to answer that phone at that particular time. I have other priorities. So what I'll do is I'll hit that automatic message button that automatically sends you a text that says, "Hey, I'm on the other line. If this is an emergency, text me right away." It's kind of like anything else. It's you balance things based on priority.
I would just say before we jump away, a lot of the technology that we're running into with the call filtering because of the spam call is probably causing a lot of this frustration. The calls aren't going through to the other person's phone. So before we move, my suggestion to those that might get into a situation where they feel like they're not having their calls responded to, send the text first. Yes, it's extra steps, but if you're shooting the text that says, "Hey, this is Nick Wiedekamp. I'm working on a cross sale, or I might be setting an offer, or I'd like to come view the home. I'm going to give you a call in a few minutes. Are you able to answer?" You're setting an expectation up front, and so you're lessening your disappointment and your wasting of time.
Cool.
All right, I'm feeling better.
I like that.
All right, not providing showing feedback.
My wife could pitch this for you today.
Okay, just appreciate the fact that somebody's looking at your listing.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate the fact that you took the time and you took your clients to my listing and you previewed it. That helps me. It's at the very least I can go back to my seller and say, "Hey, we had X amount of showings." And keep in mind, and this is, I don't know who runs this software. Like, I start getting feedback requests before I'm even done showing homes. It's just nonstop, and if you don't get any feedback or an offer, consider that as feedback.
Yeah.
And then for me, if I'm pretty good at providing feedback. I do take the time to do it, but I never answer the question on my feelings of price. In case we do want to make an offer, I'm not going to let you know ahead of time. "Hey, man, I think this house is priced right." But personalize your feedback questions. If this means a lot to you, take the time and personalize. You can customize your feedback questions, because the questions there are just stupid. They don't really provide any type of value. But what we do, if you really want feedback and you really want to serve your clients, pick up the phone and call every agent that showed your listing. And I have some great conversations with agents, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah," and that's where I get the true feedback if I'm wanting to provide feedback, because just relying on the regular feedback, showing feedback questions to me and sending that over to your clients is lazy, because it's not really offering you much.
I think the worst thing that MLSs and these feedback services did is they tied the feedback to the client, meaning you're accessing the home. The agent knows you're accessing it to show a particular client the product. And now all of a sudden you're supposed to tell the agent what you think about, or your client thought about the home before they've had an opportunity to see everything else they're looking at over the next couple of days or weeks. I mean, I just think it's improper timing, but I do like the fact, I think agents, rather than being a listing agent requesting it, I think a buyer's agent almost has an industry obligation to provide a listing agent with information that they might be able to use to more appropriately market that home and maybe have it sell faster, but take it away from the stupid buyer's connection. That is the worst thing. Because to your point, Mike, all of a sudden Mike shows my home. I haven't talked to Mike ever. Mike shows my home. Then all of a sudden, Mike is giving me feedback on it. I'm expecting Mike to give me feedback on it, so that when I see that offer come over and Mike's the agent attached to it, you don't think I'm putting those two things together?
Yeah.
Well, it's a confusing situation that we've built in our industry. To Todd's point, we're asking non-professionals that probably have no idea what they're asking or looking at to provide feedback. "I don't like the color of the home." Okay, well, that's not a helpful piece of feedback, but we're asking buyers that might be first-time home buyers. They may have no idea what they're looking at to provide feedback back to the seller. It's just a weird situation that we've set up. I think that makes more sense having professionals give professional opinion, but having it in writing and back and forth in automated systems just doesn't make a lot of sense. Having a conversation again, picking up the phone, building relationships with our industry peers is how we do business forward.
Because I pick up the phone and I call the agents, the amount of feedback that I can provide my sellers is invaluable to them.
Totally.
because then I'll ask them. I'm not. Then I will ask directly about price. Sure. If they're especially if they're like, yeah, my client's not interested in the house. Okay, what did you think about the price?
Kind of like the purpose of holding an open house. We think it's to find buyers and sellers. Well, that's the reward we get for holding the open house. The purpose of the holding an open house is to get valuable feedback that the listing agent can bring back to the seller. It might help them price the home properly.
All right, third one, because we got to get rocking and rolling. It's my favorite. People are going to get really ticked.
I'm rolling.
All right, don't worry about what the listing agent is making. Okay, at the end, you see the settlement sheet, and the listing agent's getting 3%, and you agreed to 2%. Maybe they're just better negotiators. Work on your negotiating skills. What they make, what a listing agent makes, shouldn't concern you. You need to worry about your client. You need to worry about what you're making, because we have no idea. It's like, because agents will go, well, you don't know how many homes I've showed this buyer, and they've been difficult to work with, da-da-da-da-da. Well, you don't know the story and the work that goes in behind maybe this particular seller, and the energy and all of that stuff. Agents just need to worry about themselves.
This is.
And I'm sorry. I know I'm not apologizing.
No.
People.
I wouldn't apologize either, Mike, because I'm gonna dig my own hole even deeper. So here's the thing about this. The thing is I would wish, if Todd had a wish for 2026, that AAR does away with the seller compensation addendum. And that's going to make everybody freak out. But it shouldn't, because now as a buyer's agent, contractual obligation to a buyer now versus just a fiduciary with a non-contractual. Now you're contractually liable to the services that you provide. And you need to perform similar services with a buyer like you do with a seller. And we did talk about this on one of the prior podcasts, which was, don't you have an obligation to get an estimated settlement sheet from the lender as to approximately how much the buyer's proceeds are going to need to be to close on a home? And again, your lender is going to make sure the buyer's agent, your compensation is going to be included in that amount of money. So when the buyer sees that particular amount of money that they're going to have to bring to the table at the end, and then they say, I don't have that kind of money. Well, wouldn't you like to know that today? And then the second thing is, doesn't that better help you prepare creating your offer anyway? So, I agree with you, Mike. I think if somebody's a great negotiator and can earn more compensation than another agent, which is really the way the business should be, that's a bad thing. No, it's a good thing.
Are we down to 2 listeners now, 2 viewers?
I would say that the goal for
Roy.
real estate agents running a business is to think like a business. Businesses that are the most successful worry about themselves, worry about their value, worry about what they are doing right. They don't worry about what the other person is doing. Those that worry about what the other person is doing better than them are going to fail. It's a Simon Sinek thing. It's a great conversation about the infinite mind versus the finite mind. Don't worry about what the other guy's doing. Worry about what you can do. Worry about your value and provide those things to your clients, and you will prevail in the long term. Short term, maybe not, but the long term, you will always succeed.
It's an interesting point, because we're one of the only industries where we see what everybody makes.
Correct.
Right? If I walk into a store and buy a TV, I don't know what, at the end of the day, what the profit margin is.
You don't, but you know that you're paying more for a Samsung than you are for a Vizio, and that's where the value is. And so as agents, we should carry ourselves to those standards.
Yeah.